Plus these fresh seasoning here, these are all the dry seasonings that you're going to need. In the recipe in my book, I think I use green seasoning, which is basically a combination of onion, spring onion, thyme, Scotch bonnet, garlic and ginger. But I'm just using everything chopped up. So if you don't have green seasoning, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's almost like it's just an extra addition. But everything here you're going to need. I'm using a bit of this chicken seasoning as well because this one is nearly finished. And yeah, give or take, this is the same thing that I use every time. To be honest, because I've been cooking for so long, I freestyle it every time. But this is the basis of it. So when you see it in my cookbook, it could be slightly different, but it's the same. Same but different. Okay, so now we're going to season it. I'm going to do the dry seasoning first because then I can kind of give it a mix and then put the veggies on there and whatever. So this is ground pimento or allspice in some countries. I'm just going to put, no, I like this. Like, people will think I'm mad. I'll actually bite that when it's on my plate. Some people can't stand it. But yeah, I'm just putting like a small handful in there. With all-purpose seasoning and chicken seasoning, it's like 1 teaspoon of each. This is almost finished, so I'm going to finish it off. And then I'm going to add a bit more of this one. Yes, it's about a teaspoon of each. Teaspoon of all-purpose. This recipe is actually on my channel already, but it's from a couple years ago, so I thought let's do an updated version. Teaspoon of black pepper as well. Teaspoon of garlic granules. And you're going to put about a 3/4 teaspoon of thyme because you've already got the fresh thyme in there. I just like to add both. Ground paprika for colour. And flavour, of course, but add a 3/4 teaspoon of that. I don't really like to cook with salt. I'd rather just use more like all-purpose because that has salt in there. But if I am using salt, I like to use garlic salt, this one. So I just have to give it a little mix sometimes, get it working. And I'm going to add about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of that. Yeah, 1/2 teaspoon will be fine. Okay, then, so you've got all of this. Doesn't that look pretty? And you're also going to need, sometimes I use this, sometimes I don't. It depends on if I've got it at home, but most of the time I do. We've got Maggi Liquid Seasoning, dark soy or light. I'm using dark today. Again, just make sure you kind of have these things in the cupboard. Some browning as well. If I don't use this browning, I use the one, it's in a green bowl. Tablespoon of dark soy. Then we're going to put a tablespoon of Maggi. And then these bottles are always really hard to open. Okay, normally what does loosen this up, I'm going to try it now and see if it works right now. Run this under a hot tap and it will kind of loosen it up a bit. So hold on. And it worked. I don't know why that works. I can't remember who taught me that, but yeah, if you run a warm tap underneath the top with the lid on and it's screwed on, it works. But yeah, add about a teaspoon of this. Like a drop. You don't need too much. Now you're just going to give this a good mix. Make sure your hands are clean. I know I've got nails, guys, but it's fine. Just make sure your hands are clean and washed. You can use gloves. I don't have gloves today, so I'm using my hands. So just give it a nice good mix just with the seasoning first. You can put everything in together at once, but this bowl that I'm using isn't that big, so I kind of just want the seasoning to get into the chicken and then I can add everything else. Look, as you guys can see, look at those slits, so it's getting right in there. And then we're going to start adding the seasoning. So like here we've got, is this ginger? No, this is garlic. So I'm going to put all that garlic in there. Put the garlic in. And the ginger. I'm going to give it a mix again now as well, just to get this worked in. You want it to be nice and flavoursome. That's why I kind of want to leave it to marinate overnight. Normally, as you guys know on this channel, I'm very last minute, so I'll just decide to cook it and then boom. But you know, I'm a bit more organized this year, guys. I'm a bit more organized. You're going to add all of this in. Now, you don't need to. Sometimes what I'll do, I'll just put the onions, the Scotch bonnet, the thyme, and I'll leave the rest until I'm actually cooking it. But because I'm leaving it to marinate for so long, I want everything to get, you know, the seasoning in there. So I'm going to add all that in there and then just give it a mix. Don't rush it, just, you know, have fun with it. Get everything coated in those seasoning. And then we're going to cover it, put it in the fridge and leave it. Now, if I was cooking this now, so I'd leave it for like 30 minutes and then start to fry off the chicken. I'm going to try and leave this for a few hours if I cook it today, or we're going to come back tomorrow. So I'm going to see how we get on. Just a carrot there. Said you're going to cover it. Leave it. If you want to cook it right now, you can, but I'd still say leave it for 30 minutes and just let it, yeah, let everything settle a little piece. Then if not, leave it for a minimum of like 4 hours, and all this will just, the chicken will soak it up and it will be even more flavoursome. Or you leave it overnight and that's when it's the best. Okay guys, so we are back for part 2 of our cooking stew chicken, which is here. I left it overnight because yeah, it's just always best if you do it overnight. I am using 2 pots to make my stew chicken. I'm using this one, my Tefal pan, because I just love the way it fries off meat, and then I'm using this to stew it down in. Of course, you would traditionally use a, what's it called, a Dutch pot, but my Dutch pot is big, it's massive. I actually need to invest into a smaller one, so when I'm cooking smaller meals, it's not long. But yeah, we're just going to do it this method today. But obviously if you're using a Dutch pot, you do it all in the same pot and it's done. Okay, the chicken. If you guys are in England, you know how cold it is right now, so I've proper got on like a cardigan and everything. Okay, so there is our seasoned chicken. It smells delicious. Look at it. When it looks that good, even before you've done anything, you know you're onto something right. Okay, so we're gonna get some oil in the pan. Okay, hot pan first, always. Oil in the pan, not too much. I'm just going to turn that down a bit. Whilst your oil is heating up, move the veggies to the side. It may seem like a tedious job, but you don't want all this to burn. So just move it to the side and then put in a few pieces of chicken at a time. Don't go crazy and put them all in. So you just take off the onions, the peppers, the tomatoes, all of that. You won't need to do it with the garlic because that should have really seasoned into the chicken quite thoroughly. So yeah, just like get some of the veggies off of there and then put it into the pan. Okay, so I'm just gonna start putting these in. So look, you see how nice that looks? That's how you want it, but some of them aren't going to be ready yet. Or ready to turn yet, should I say. Okay. Just want to leave it for about 5 minutes on each side. Yeah, so just that one. Okay, you want it for about 5 minutes on each side until it begins to look like this. Nice brown and crispy. And also boil the kettle whilst this is going on because we're going to need some chicken stock as well. This is how you want your chicken to look. Once it looks like that, you're going to put it in the pot in the back. And if you feel like you want to turn them over and give them a bit more colour, then you can do. Yeah, once they're browned off, put them in here. And then once all, can't get that one out. Once all the chicken is browned off back there, leave that same pan on and just pour these veggies into it so that we can kind of saute these off. Okay, so we're just going to pour. Pour all that in with all the juices, everything from the bowl. The pimento seed, the Scotch bonnet, everything. Just pour that in, and then you can pour the hot water into this bowl and get the excess seasoning off of it as well. So you just want to saute these up a bit. And this isn't necessarily the traditional way. This is the way I like to do it when I'm not doing it in a Dutch pot, because everything just kind of needs to get sealed in with the flavour before you just pour liquid water onto it. You just kind of want to seal all that in, so turn up the heat and just basically fry down these veggies for a little bit. Then I'm just going to get one chicken stock cube from my jar. Pot of water, enough to deglaze the bottom of the pan, basically, like that. I'm just going to let that begin to take the excess seasoning from the bottom of the pan, from the chicken, everything. And then I've got this ketchup that's nearly finished. Never waste that. Put a little bit of water into it. Shake up the bottle like that. And then pour that in as well. But we're still going to add about a tablespoon of ketchup into that. And then I'm going to add some browning as well, but as you guys saw from the first part of the video, it was hard to open, so it's hard to open again, so I'm going to do that in a second. But I'm just going to mix out this stock cube into the sauce and turn it down a bit now. This probably needs a bit more water. Just so that it's not too thick, because this is going to cook down that chicken. So you don't want it to be like a gravy just yet. It's more like a stock, and then it will thicken up as it cooks. So I'm going to move this back. We're going to swap these around. I'm going to put that one here with the chicken and turn that up. So you guys can see we've got the chicken here, basically ready, and then, well, basically ready for this, which is all the gravy, the thyme, the onions, the peppers, all of that. Just scrape it off into here. And this chicken's going to release a bit of juices as well, so you don't want to put too much water in there for now. For now we're just going to leave it like this. And if we need to top it up with a bit more water, then we do. Ah, the browning. Yeah. Or a little bit more. a teaspoon and a bit, no more than that, because it will become too dark. Just kind of swirl that around a bit. It will be easier if you add it in to the stock before, but it's fine either way, because it will start to work with the rest of the stock that's in there. Just kind of make sure your veggies are in the stock. If some of them are on top of the chicken, that's fine, but you don't want like all of it to be in there, to be on top of the chicken. You want some of it to be, you know. And then this is basically it. So I've just let the heat kind of pick up right now, so that it can get hot and whatnot. But I'm actually going to turn it down, and I'm going to stew it on low, because now that's all it needs to do. It doesn't need to rush cook or anything like that. You just leave it, put the lid on. I'm going to check on it and see if I want to add a bit more browning. I think actually because there's two types of browning that I use. So we've got the Jamaica Valley one, and we've got, I can't remember the name, I think it's called Sarson's browning, and it comes in a green bottle. That is very strong. Like, you add a little bit and it goes a long way. So when you're using that one, only use like a teaspoon, no more than that. With this, I'm just adding a little bit more, because I want it to be brown stew, you know. So I'm going to put the lid on and leave this for about 40 minutes and then check on it. But I may need to add a bit more stock or a bit more water to it, but it should be okay, because that chicken's going to release its juices and be, yes, very delicious. So that's what it looks like right now. We're going to come and check on it. I'll probably check on it in 15 minutes or halfway, 20 minutes, and then we'll come back and see if it needs anything more. But here it is. Okay, so we're back. The chicken's been on for about 40 minutes, so now I want to thicken up the gravy. This is purely preference. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. Let me show you how the chicken looks. Oh, I made some cabbage, some steamed seasoned cabbage, and there's some rice at the back as well to go with our stew chicken. So our chicken is looking like this. Delicious. Look at that. Wonderful. This is one of the quickest meals on my channel. If you don't know how to cook and you need something quick, this is a great starting point. Just look at it. Look at the flavors. Look at that. See, I'm going to get a spoon and show you. Okay, so the gravy's not thin, but it's not exactly thick enough for me. Like, I personally like gravy to be gravy, you know. I like it to be thick so that when it goes on my rice, it's, you know. Some people like to add potatoes, that will thicken it up as well, or you can just serve it like this. It's totally up to you, but what I like to do is this. So here I have some corn flour, and this is cooled down cabbage water. So I steamed the cabbage first, drained the water, let it cool down, and then I've got it here with this. What I'm gonna do, this is about a heaped teaspoon, but I don't even think I need that much. I'm just gonna get, yeah, look, because this is a small, I'm gonna get that much, about a teaspoon, and then I'm gonna put 1, 2, 3, and this is cooled down so it's not hot anymore. Make sure the water is not hot, it needs to be cool, okay? And then it will kind of look like milk. I'm gonna put a little bit more in, but yeah, by the time you've mixed it up, it will look like milk. And then if we go back over to our chicken, so I've got my corn flour mix here, so just mix it in and then just add it in where a few of the gaps are. So don't put it directly on the chicken, and it will start to thicken up quite quickly. So just keep it on like a low heat and let it begin to thicken up. Also, because I didn't do it before, spoon over the stock onto the chicken, of course. And if you feel like you need some more gravy or juices, like I have the cabbage water, so I'm just going to add a bit because I don't want it to be lacking a bit of gravy. And yeah, so any steamed veg that you're having with your dish, use the water from that because it will just give more flavour. So what I'm going to do now, leave this for another 10-15 minutes if that, and it will thicken up. You could turn it off a little bit, but not too much, just kind of leave it simmering, let it thicken, and then you'll be good. Look, let me zoom you in. So this will start to get nice and not too thick, it just has a bit more of a gravy consistency to it. And then you can pour it over your chicken, get those flavours going. And here we have our finished dinner. We've got some white rice in the back, some steamed seasoned cabbage here, yum. Some steamed basmati rice, and then here we've got the stew chicken. Look at it. See, nice simple dish, very flavoursome. Just gonna go with the flow. So we've got some rice, going on one side. Look at that cabbage. Delicious. I'm sure I have a recipe for my steamed veg, which is basically the same as steaming the cabbage, to be honest. So yeah, but if you guys want me to do a new recipe for that, let me know. This one looks good. Look at that. Yum. I even need to zoom in for you guys on that because look at that. That's what you want your stew chicken to look like with that gravy. See how it's now slightly thicker, it's not as runny. That's how we want it. So let's put one piece there. I'll put a leg on there as well. And if some of the chicken begins to kind of get so tender that it's pulling apart, that's a good thing. So don't worry about that. We've got a leg piece there. I think I might put another leg piece there. See there, you've got your chicken, your veg and your rice. Some of that gravy all over the chicken like that. And then of course we need some on the rice because I don't know about you guys. And then of course we need some on the rice. I like gravy on my rice. I'm definitely a gravy type girl. Get some of those veggies as well, some of those carrots. I'm gonna put them on top of the cabbage. Bit more on the rice. And then there we go. Let's clean up this bowl a little bit because it's looking a bit messy. And there we have our stew chicken, rice and veg. Look at that. Look at that chicken there, the rice. An easy midweek meal. Doesn't take too long at all. 45 minutes and you're done. And especially if you prep this chicken from the night before, it saves you so much time. Okay people, I'm going to do a little quick taste test to show you how tender it is and how tasty it is. So this is the leg. The chicken's already breaking off, as you can see. Nice, juicy, tender, juicy chicken. So I'm going to taste this. You're not going to see me, but I am. I'll show you a little bit myself. I am here. The rice. Oh my gosh, the rice with the gravy is everything. This is like a childhood favorite meal of mine. And some cabbage. This whole meal, flavor explosion. Okay, this whole meal. And all these recipes are on my channel and in my book, Sundays. Link will be in the description down below for everything that you will need to create this meal. Let me know what you thought of this video. I know I didn't show my face this time. I just, you know, some days guys, I just want to get in the kitchen and cook, and that's kind of what I did. But I will, hold on. Here I am, guys. I am here. I'm just, yeah, I'm hiding behind the camera today, but I came to say hello and to try one more taste of this chicken. I feel so mashed up today, oh my gosh. And rice. Excuse how I look, please. I will look, you already know the vibes, it's real life, come on. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you loved it, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment down below, let me know where you're coming from, and if you try it, and follow me on all my socials, Chanell A. Wallace on TikTok, on Food with Chanell, and everything else. See you in the next video.